here's how it dried. The single color serrated edge is called back run. If you have two colors, actually that's up here, two colors in that serrated edge, it's colloidal dispersion. So hopefully yours has evidence of that because we're not going for the smooth one. This is what I painted in 2004 when this was an assignment in college. In that case, we were going for the smoother gradient. I obviously didn't get there. I think this is three colors too. You can really feel the brush on this. So this is 2004 and I was just learning how to paint. So I was 20. I think there was a time where I was really proud of this painting, but when you really look at it, you can't see the presence of the water. This is like a stagnant, dry painting. There's no life to it. It's bold and it's saturated, but I still remember during the critique, like this arm was pointed out as an issue. If you look at this up close, you can see like the ghost streaks in there where you can see the brush is pulling the water up. So when you're layering, it's really important that you still have the same type of, not necessarily confidence, but just boldness and like trust in the process. This dried totally different than when you last saw it, but it dried better than when you last saw it. So what we want to do is begin by, there are a couple approaches. You could either gradually work towards your darks or you can go straight for your darks right away. To be honest, my typical way of working with watercolor is to move towards my darks and build them up gradually. I think actually I'm in the mood to just go straight to dark because one of the issues that I see when I look at my work sometimes is that as it builds towards that darkness, the dark ends up being a little too dense, and I kind of want to see if I can keep it luminous like right out the gate. So I'm going to mix a dark color starting with purple, and I'm reaching in towards burnt sienna and yellow to try to desaturate it, take the edge off of it. I mean, it kind of looks like I'm just taking every single color, which to be honest, I am. But there is that strategy. I'm trying to get a deep dark purple. When I look at my strongest darks, I still want to maintain a sense of clarity. So if I look at this piece, I'm going to line that and then allow that to fill in. So I need to make sure I have enough water on my brush and keep it moving along. There may be some areas where I want it to be a little lighter, and in that case, I would just add water. But I got to make sure that I am working quickly, but not frantically, because the area where I started, that's going to dry faster. So it's like I can't leave that on its own for too long. And also, the more you do with the more you do with the brush, the more you're going to actively ruin your painting. So you've really got to take care that you are not doing too much with the brush. You're placing the pigment. So it's like you're on a road trip and traveling with the water and the pigment. You're not staying in the same place too long. It's actually not the way I prefer to have a road trip. I'd rather stay in one place for a while and let it sink in and experience it so that I have a memory. But I guess this wasn't a very good analogy because it's the opposite of how I like to travel. But you see how I'm not really making contact with the root of the paper. If I need this to go darker, that's all wet and active. It's pre-wet. I could just dot more pigment in. Another thing, I'm only using the point of the brush. I'm hardly making contact with it. I think when I was watching people paint with gouache, if this is the brush, I was watching that thing bend and really get pressed out. You shouldn't do that. In terms of brush care, that's too much on the brush, but as far as watercolor, what you would be doing is stamping everything down, crushing your layers. The trick here, when you're working wet on dry, is only working in areas that are surrounded by dry pigment. So these are just the darks. In this case, like since I have Darth Vader, which is seemingly all black, I'm just working with one color, but you could go that route or you can colorize it. When you did the gouache, you did an underpainting. You can do an underpainting with watercolor. I typically don't, but that doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't. So you have kind of a frame of reference of your options. If I wanted this color to have a little fluctuation and not be quite as predictable, like the same dark every single time, while this is wet, I could take a variant color. I could take this and then drop it in so that there's some slight fluctuation. Then when it dries, I'll have a little more variety. It won't just be one purple. You see how that works? Like we started with one color, but then just to make it a little bit more intriguing, you can take another color, maybe more than one, and just drop it in while it's still wet. Just about done with the darks here, and we would then be ready for midtones. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in person, or you can email me, and you can always refer back to this video as necessary. All right, see you tomorrow.